Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today I wanted to touch on Endgame for Call of Dragons, specifically to talk about a few points. Starting with one, right? What is the season resets? We're going to kind of show that to you and explain a little bit about how we believe it's going to work. There are some areas that are certain, there's some other areas that are uncertain, but we can infer. And then number two, from how the season resets work per kingdom, what does the end game for Call of Dragons at this specific moment in time look like? What does the ideal kingdom, based on those two factors of season resets and end game at the moment, right? What does an ideal kingdom look like? What could that be? And then from there, I'm going to answer kind of a special fourth topic towards the end of the video. Now, before we get started, as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you sub, like, ring the notification bell. And, of course, if you want to join and be a part of our conversation, hit up the Discord. You can find a link to that in the pinned comment description right down below. Let me grab some agua. So let's first off explain, how does the actual season reset system work? To figure that out, we have to actually go into our city, go to our Augerstone, and we're going to open this bad boy up. Now when we do, you're going to come to this screen for progress. You'll see status top right, and then we'll see rules top left. We'll go rules, we'll click rules again, and when we scroll down, this is where it gives us information on the season. It says that your performance will be calculated at the end of the season. Maybe you get some rewards, maybe you don't. Some content will be reset at the beginning of the next season, and then it goes to list that. All heroes will be reset to level 1. All unused tactics manuals, which are what you use to level up the heroes, will be scrapped for other items. So you'll actually get some items from those. Number 3, all artifacts will be reset to level 1. All unused arcane dust will be scrapped for other items. All policies enacted will be reset. Your alliance will disband for the first week, or disband for the first week after the beginning of the new season. The alliance leader will have the exclusive right to reuse any abbreviation of the alliance. That's kind of cool. Command points will be restored. Medical supplies for severely wounded legions will be scrapped for other items. Progress in areas such as city and building levels, hero skills, star ratings, resources, and items will not be reset. So city and building levels is nice. That means, if you basically get your stuff to max at 25, you're good. Hero skills, which would mean if you have all your skills at 555. Star ratings, which would mean you have it at anywhere between 4 and 6. Resources that you have saved up, I would imagine that's any resources in your inventory. Obviously, albeit these two, right, for tactics, manuals, and dust, that'll just get converted into the other items, as they say. And then you have also resources and the general items, right? Now, from here, we can guess that the map itself will most likely be reset, right? Because if you have to remake the alliance or reclaim it, if you're a leader, then we can judge and I think safely infer that the likelihood of the map being reset, meaning you're going to have to rebuild your center fortress or your core fortress, and you have to reflag, recapture behemoths, etc. Then let's get into the end game, right? So the typical end game right now, at least based on how Call of Dragons is currently, remember, it can change. The name of the game is Call of Dragons. There's no dragons in it yet that we know of. This, to me, allows us to elude that these things will eventually come in the game. It's just a high percentage chance. But based on how the game is currently, end game really is, being able to capture every behemoth, work your way to zone 3, and being, I don't know, active, successful player, active, successful alliance, active, successful kingdom, right? Again, there's no, temple. There's no middle building or last big building to capture. Maybe the dragon would end up being like the final boss, so to speak, and that's what you have to capture. And then maybe that gives you access to, kingdom tools, king's mail, etc., things like that. But that's it, right? It's you can play, you can battle it out with other alliances as an option. You can obviously try and expand as much territory, enjoy trying to kill as many of the behemoths and capture them, and then make it to Zone 3, right? And maybe be one of the alliances that can capture the Necro Giant, or even trade to that extent. And the thing for me that's interesting is that then you kind of get to, okay, well, what is ideal kingdom? Because there are things that we don't know are in the game yet. And this kind of loosely ties into our special topic here at the end. But when you're looking at these types of games with kingdom builders, the idea is that you're hoping something like a KVK or KVK-ish type mode comes out in the game. You hope things like migration will eventually come out in the game. You hope that there will be some type of final building, final boss to capture that'll get you access to things like King's Mail, where you can message every player in the kingdom, other king management related tools, support options that you'll have from that. I mean, these are just kind of almost common denominators, right? These are staples within this genre that we call kingdom builders. So for me, when I look at, what does ideal kingdom look like at this point in the game's lifespan, I view it very similarly to what I did in Infinity Kingdom with Server 8, which was the last beta server before they did global release. And Server 8 for a while was the number one strongest kingdom in the game. And a lot of that had to do with how I prepped that kingdom, the people that we had on board, and the belief, right, the community that we built there. The ideals were very simple. It was about keeping as much activity as we could, and therefore keeping as much player retention there as we could, meaning more people chose to stay than those that opted to leave. And I view this game pretty much the same way, at least at this moment in time, because remember, there are unknown things that are just not out yet. But by investing early into those things is when it can really pay off, right? When Infinity Kingdom, just to give an example, when IK came out and I had built this project to go to Server 8, there were definitely some people who thought I was crazy for wanting to invest into the kingdom as hard as we did for its longevity, right? Playing the long game out, because KVK wasn't announced. There was no hint or inclination that it was going to come out, let alone anything else. And because of the way that I built the kingdom, even after I wasn't a part of it anymore, was still able to thrive in its own way, partly because of that foundation and partly because of the continuation of it for when KVK did come out. So my view on Kingdom Builders is pretty simple. To me, until they tell you that they're not going to do something KVK related, or they're not going to add this or not going to add that, the likelihood of it happening is still very high. And being able to prepare for that, regardless if you don't know anything about if it's going to come, is more worthwhile than, for me playing in a kingdom where all you're just going to do is, have civil wars, so to speak, amongst each other. I would rather be in a kingdom and have, 1,000 active players, and we're doing fun, friendly, organized PvP fights with alliance versus alliance, multiple alliances, free for all with alliances, 10-on-10 fights between alliances with just players organizing one-on-one fights, whether that be for testing purposes or for people just to kind of go at it. Maybe have, open field battle royales where everyone brings one march and it's like last one standing. I mean, there's so much fun, cool stuff that you can really think of to engage players instead of forcing them to fight. This really comes down to understanding kind of the player and the human psychology of what it really takes to get players / individuals involved in a kingdom. And it really starts with understanding that no one wants their choice to be taken away from them. And that really takes a very high level understanding, in my opinion, when it comes to, how often we can see in kingdoms where you'll have, the top alliance or the top group or, the whales that get together and want to, dictate, if you will, the way or direction that a kingdom will go in based on their preferences. And most of the time, it is usually biased, where it's more kind of local thinking, not really global thinking, meaning that it's more about, what can they do to benefit them? What can we do to benefit our alliance? Instead of saying, what can we do to benefit the kingdom? What can we do to benefit all players? And for me, when I look at games this early, those are some of the big highlight points because I think there's a lot of value in that. And from basically doing it before myself and seeing how successful it can be, and it was, there's no reason for me to believe that applying that same level of thinking and approach to a kingdom, even when we're in the dark still, right, about obviously certain things, is still going to be the best or most worthwhile venture for me. And so, yeah, I thought it would be interesting to make this type of video to cover these points because, some people have asked me, like, hey, what do you think endgame is, right? What is there to do if this is all there is? And I guess if I leave you guys with anything here is to, or maybe the very last thing, is just to be mindful that, you're still in beta. There's still going to be more updates. I'm sure there's going to be huge updates with a few big things. Maybe there will be updates with a lot of big things and just a few small things. But again, there's only been, at least as we're recording this video, there's only been one big update or main update so far, with detailed with, a good amount of patch notes included. So again, we know there's more to come. It's just a matter of time to see what's going to come out, how the game's going to develop. But I'm excited for it. I do think the game has a good amount of potential. And if anything, I hope this video at least clarifies how the mindset for a player, the mindset for an alliance and or group can be when you're going into a kingdom and playing, at least, based on how the game stands currently. So that is it for me. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed this talk out loud POV for myself on a couple big ticket items here for the game. And yeah, again, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, right? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Why? Do you see where I'm coming from? Do you understand it? Or at least that approach, that perspective? Or are you of the mindset maybe where, it doesn't really matter? Like, look, I'm just going to play the game and go and kill and attack. There's nothing that we know that's out right now. So, I'm not going to sit here and invest in something or play the what if there. Do you meet somewhere in the middle? Anything and everything I'd love to hear. So again, let me know in those comments down below. That's it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.